Tell me that about your migration journey. So you are from India and you have started your migration journey. You came to Australia first, or how did it started? Tell us about.
So leaving India, I left India in 2006 when I got married. My husband was based in Africa, in Lagos.
Right. So you didn't come to Australia first.
No.
Oh,
So
right.
I lived in Africa first. So my husband lived in Africa for about 10, 12 years. But I joined him. So he started working there when he was 19. And so I joined him after we got married in 2006. And that's where my sort of migration, if you like, started. And it was quite interesting because, I was an IT graduate. I'd finished my IT degree in Chennai, and then I moved after I got married straight after, and I moved with him. So I had no work experience, nothing. And I was in Lagos in Nigeria, and I was looking for an IT job, and I was like, where do I find an IT job here? And I just couldn't find one. And I finally got interviewed for I got interviewed for a finance controller position. That was quite interesting.
Finance controller.
And I had no clue about debits and credits. I didn't know which side of the page what goes. I had no clue, right? I'm an IT graduate. I could code, but I had no clue about money and how to account for money or whatever. And I think that's but so they interviewed me for the finance controller position, and then the boss called me back the next day and he said, you're a great candidate, Sangeeta, but you have no clue about numbers. I'm like, yeah, I don't. I can't hire you as a finance controller. It was for the West African division for Lufthansa Airlines. And he said, I can't hire you as a finance controller. Very sorry. But, if something opens up, I'll let you know. And so that's really where he left it. And I spent 3 months harassing him every week, pretty much writing an email saying, any updates for me? Hi, any updates for me? Because I just couldn't find another job in that country.
Right.
And 3 months later, he wrote back to me and he said, okay, my HR manager is going on mat leave. Let's bring you in for 3 months. She's going on mat leave. Let's bring you in and let's give you a chance and let's see if you can handle that. Then we'll talk about the finance controller position. And I said, okay. And so that's where my journey started in HR. So I was an IT graduate, started in HR.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from there, I grew to the assistant finance controller position at Lufthansa itself.
How did it work? Like you have, like, as the boss said, you don't have any clue about HR as well, right?
Yeah.
So how, like, is that something you planned, you learned, or it just
I had to learn the job. Yeah, it's like they threw me in the deep end and I just had to learn on the job. So the lady who was going on mat leave, I had 1 week handover with her. So for 1 week, she showed me what she was doing to run the payroll. How do you run the payroll? It was like 150 employees. How do you run payroll for them? How do you, manage complaints, employee complaints? How do you manage union meetings, employee union meetings? How do you negotiate in meetings? So I had to learn it all on the job pretty much. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm sure I did. But I think it's that sort of just put me in this mindset of becoming a generalist rather than being a specialist. And I think that's what I really enjoyed. And so after I finished those 3 months, my boss said, okay, I can't give you the finance controller position. We're bringing in somebody from Germany for that, but we can give you the assistant finance controller position so you can learn all about accounting and finance and stuff like that. But what he saw, I suppose, in those 3 months is that I was really good at computers. And I think that was my advantage. Being an IT graduate, I was good at computers in a country like Nigeria, in Lagos, where the other people were not up to the mark in that skill set. Like they'd been there for years, but I think they knew about the business, but I knew how to do the tech side of things. And so I suppose that's what got me the next position and stuff like that.
So then how you moved to Australia?
So I lived there for a while, and then we just decided that it was time for me. Lagos is a very dangerous country. We used to hear gunshots every day. We used to get tailgated, so you have to like watch yourself. I couldn't walk on the streets. I was an expat in Nigeria, right? My husband had an expat status. I was an expat as well. And so as an expat, the companies wouldn't allow you to like, walk on the street freely. So if I had to go to the supermarket, I had to go with the driver, and I was only 21 and I was like, I don't need this. Like at 21, I want to be able to walk on the streets. I want to be able to breathe the air. I want to be able to do what I want to do. Like I don't want to be living a life where I have like three maids. We had drivers, cars, three maids, and a huge house. And I was like, but no freedom, And for me, I think freedom is very important. So I suppose after a couple of years, we said there was huge potential for career growth for me over there. But for me, I think the lifestyle and the freedom mattered a lot more. So we moved back to India, my husband and I. He went back to uni to study because he moved at 19 to do a job. So he hadn't finished his bachelor's. So he went back to university in his 30s, when he was 30, just to redo his bachelor's and sort of finish it. And in the meantime, I was looking for a job in India, and I couldn't find a job in India because people would say, you have a bachelor's in IT, but no experience in IT. And you have experience in finance, but no qualification in finance. So I had to make a choice whether I start again at ground level after having like 2 years of experience, if I go back to starting at ground level in tech in India, or if I go study finance and supplement my experience with a qualification. And so I decided to do the latter. I decided to go do a qualification, a master's degree, and that's how I came to Australia to do a master's degree in accounting.
Study a master's degree. Wow. Yeah. Okay, great. Right.
Yeah.
What year you arrived in Australia?
2009.
9. Okay. So yes, great. So at that point, 2 years study, and then you straight got into your residency.
Great. Yes. So because I had experience to back me, and I did a master's in accounting, I had experience in the accounting piece for 2 years with Lufthansa in Africa. That supplemented me. And I also got a graduate position here at Ernst & Young during that time. So I think all of that added up to helping me get the PR.